say, Jason, do the clap.
Yep. The clap. The sync clap. All right. You ready?
Yes, sir, Ski.
Let's do it. Thanks. Thanks for doing it. You were, like I said, you were actually, this is the first official one I've done. And when I was starting out, I was like, I got to find people that, like, I want to interview. Like, I want to talk to. And every time I've ever seen you, you just destroy. Like, when we were at Helium, what was it, back in, like, June?
July.
July? Yeah. You went
Yeah.
out and you were on stage for maybe, like, 20 seconds. And there was such a big pop that we were in the green room and we all stopped and just looked at the door.
Right.
And we were like, well, I guess we're all going for second. All right.
I had my motivations for that
Yeah.
was, this was probably my fourth or fifth time doing Helium, and Rueseler, I've never made it out of the first round.
Really?
This was the first time in every year, like last year, I was even told I had the best set of the night, but it's an audience vote, and I didn't make it. So this year I was like, man, I'm just gonna leave no doubt, just go out with my energy, and it was fun though. You had a good set. Like, even my wife said you had it. She was like, he was funny.
I don't know. I got done, and I just remember I was looking at you and Scott James, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, all right, maybe I'll squeak by in third place.
Right.
And then I don't even remember who got third, but
It
still,
was- Who was? It was myself, Scott, and I don't even remember.
yeah, I don't either, but it's like,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just,
Oh, it was Shantae, and it was her first time that night.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
My bad, Shantae. She comes to my mic every Thursday. No, my bad. But
She was good.
yeah,
She was good.
that was her first time, and I said, you build her. She has. I tell people, like, most of us are naturally funny. Some of us, of course, are
Yeah.
joke writing funny, but most of us should be able to rely on the natural funny. Like, even to bail out if a joke doesn't hit like you think. As comedians, we should be able to pivot in those moments and bring the crowd back. You know what I'm saying? So I think she had that part down. Yeah.
That's what always gets me is, like, I hate it when people try to divide comedy into, like, oh, clean comedy is better than dirty comedy, or there's, like, now there's alt comedy versus, like, mainstream.
What is
like,
alt comedy?
Exactly. Like, did you stand on stage? Did you make people laugh?
Right.
Well, then you did comedy. That's it.
That
Like, don't try to dissect it. Don't try to put, like, labels on it. Like, just go be funny.
and I went down to Memphis this past weekend for the Memphis Festival, and they had a lady that does nothing but clean, but she doesn't like to be called a clean comedian. She's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a comedian.
Exactly.
Like, I just don't curse. So I do get that. I never looked at it like that. I'm like, I do, but sometimes I need people to know, like, hey, I can do clean.
Yeah.
But I get the label. Like, I don't want to be labeled as a host.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want people to just be like, oh, he's a hell of a host. Like, I always equate it to Steve Harvey on Kings of Comedy. Like, yeah, you did a hell of a job hosting, but I don't want to be known
Yeah.
as a host.
That's a good point. It's so hard for me, at least. I don't know about you, but I'm newer at this. But going from trying to break from that hosting, like, because that's when I get gigs, hosting, and it's like I'm just trying to get to feature. Like, I know I'm not a headliner. I'm cool with that. I got to pay my dues. I'm good. But getting that first featuring gig,
Yes.
that first weekend,
Man,
it's so hard because everybody's like, well, have you ever featured before? It's like, well, no, because no one's going to hire me. And they're like, well, let me know when you get a feature weekend. You're like,
but how am I supposed to get one?
Exactly,
That's like when jobs
exactly.
ask, like, do you have experience? Well, no. I'm hoping you can give me that.
Yeah.
But, I get that. It's funny. Like, yes, you do want to gradually host to feature. Javon got asked to feature before he was a host, and he was like, man, I just want to host. And I'm like, man, are you dumb?
yeah.
Like, you want to go backwards?
It's a skill. You definitely got to learn how to be a good host.
Of course.
But it's crazy to me that the youngest comedian, like the least experienced comedian, always gets the hosting gig, and that's the hardest job because
It's the most important job too.
You got to warm up the crowd. You got to remember servers' names, drink specials, like credits. Do you know how many times like you're sitting there and you're like, I'm focusing on a new joke or whatever, but I forgot a tag because the server's name is Sarah and there's a $2 buttery nipple shot tonight. And next week,
it's too many talking points.
Yeah, Pauly Shore's in town. Make sure you check out the website.
Right.
We're selling these raffle tickets after the show.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many announcements, and then there's a credit. You know, you get some headliner who comes in, and you got to remember he was on 2 episodes of Reno 911 back in 2008, and so now you got to remember that and his Comedy Central special. Oh, and he performed for the troops. You know, and it's just like.
Man, I'm trying to remember the little jokes I was going to squeeze in there. But the other thing about hosting is there are different hosting sets, I'll say. For example, like you host at a comedy club, you know, I would probably include more jokes in a hosting set at a comedy club. Whereas if you're hosting like a private event, I might tell a joke, but most of it is going to be improv, at least for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's more about just keeping the energy of the show, because I do think the host is the most important part of, I don't care what kind of show you have going on, but I think it's different levels to hosting, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Because if I'm at Funny Bone, okay, I know you guys really want me to go up here and do this. Maybe 7 to 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm, like, I host a concert every year, and I'm a comedian, these are all musicians, but I know what I'm there for.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got to stick with it. But as a feature, you know, it's more like you really got to have your set together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to be ready. You can't, I mean, there's no skipping the line.
No.
You know?
And some people think a feature set is, as long as I can be up there for 20 minutes. No, sir. That feature set needs to be
tight.
20 minutes. That whole thing, you need to be jamming. And some people can't separate a whole set from a feature set. Like, you can't go up there as relaxed as the feature. And the host gets the hardest. For some people, for some reason, people will view the host as, well, he's just a local that they're letting get up.
Yeah.
So they don't get a lot of credibility sometimes. So it's just like, he's just an open micer.
Well, when you go up, I mean, like, how many times, I don't know if you've ever hosted some clubs, but you go up and they do the, like, intro music. They always play some old rock song or something. And you get up there, and then for, like, 30 seconds that you're up there, they're still playing the music. And so you're having to fight it. Just because whatever door guy is working tonight doesn't know how to turn it down, you know, forgot how to turn the music off or whatever, and so you're just sitting there like, and you got to do the, are we ready to have a good time tonight? Oh, you can do better than that. Come on, are we ready to have a good time? You know, like,
and how many times we got to do that throughout the set?
Exactly.
But you know,
give me a round of applause for your server. She's working hard for you.
I'm always listening for the, you know, the lines. That I know I'm bombing lines. Like any birthdays.
You guys are fun.
Yeah,
you
guys are. Anybody celebrating anything? It's like, you done ran out of jokes.
How about a round of applause for the troops?
Oh, my God. We ain't been in war in 8 years. We just signed a treaty. About troops.
Yeah, like, give it up for the troops. Man, they're protecting. I'm out of jokes. That's
what
that means.
That is. I always, whatever comedian I'm next to, if I hear that line, I always got to turn and look like, if you next, stand up.
I like that, and I like the, what else?
I hate that line. Like, so my view on that is like, you can think that all you want.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay, what else do I have? But when you say it out loud, to some people it comes off like, you're unprofessional. Of course, all of us get stuck somewhere. It's like, but just take your pause. Just be quiet and let it come to you. But you asking the crowd, what else you got? Somebody's going to say, apparently nothing.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
That would be.
And it's probably another comedian in the back of the room.
That would be hilarious, man. You know how hard I would laugh at that. That would be
so much.
I know some comedians who would do it. I would love to do it. It depends on where I'm at. If I'm at my mic and they say that I'm gonna say that next time. Apparently nothing. You guys give it up for this guy.
Yeah. Apparently he's done.
Turn the music on. Yeah.
Who's the best comedian, you think?
The best?
Yeah, the best of all the best of all time. Who's
This is so subjective. Okay. I'm gonna say Dave Chappelle just to answer it off top.
okay?
I did come up. I am 44, so growing up, and I'm from Peoria, so it's Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
You had Bill Cosby, like not cursing, and I watched all the Leonard movies. I watched the Bill Cosby movies, and I went through a lot of them. Eddie Murphy. The one who had the biggest impact on me was Martin Lawrence,
He used to just murder.
and that's where I got my example of what a host should do. Is Def Comedy Jam Martin Lawrence. Like that was like, okay, you have to be. But Dave Chappelle is the best of all time in my opinion. He's just, and I watched his growth from '90s Def Comedy Jam Chappelle to the one we see now, who's more of a kind of comes off like a monologue. You know what I'm saying? But it's just brilliant, like, and he's fearless.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
That's what I want to reach in comedy. When you are fearless, like Bill Burr, fearless, because for one, you have confidence in this joke, and you don't care what reaction you'll get. I just want to get there. I'm still at a point where, oh, if I say this, I might lose the crowd, and I don't want to lose the crowd. So, yeah, Chappelle, man, that guy is, yeah.
What about who's the best one you've ever worked with? Who's the best comedian you've ever been like? You did a weekend and you walked away and you're like, I didn't know who this guy was, but you might be.
Well, see, I already knew her, but Just Niche, D-Ray used to do these shows. Well, he still does them at the end of the year in Peoria, and I was blessed enough to be able to open up for a couple of them. And then I saw Just Niche at one of those. I'm like, she is hilarious. And then just working the weekend where I did it at the Jukebox in Peoria. And I was just like, sheesh. And it was just natural. You know, I love when it's natural. It doesn't feel forced, or I hate gimmicks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like that. Just Niche, that was like just her energy on stage, just everything. It was dope. I picked her brain too. Like, when did you know? Like, I just always want to know, like, when did, because it's 8 years for me. And it is, I just wanted to know, like, when did you know things were taking a turn? Like, you were on your way up. And so, yeah. But Just Niche. She was awesome, man.
I don't know her, but like, I got to sit and pick the brain of the headliner last night because I'm out at St. Charles this weekend, and just getting like talking to him, being like, what was the moment when you were like, I think I can do this? Like, because it's when you start out, it's rough,
especially if you have no support system, really.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's always like I want to ask them questions because, you know, a lot of times we're in our head like, am I doing this right? Like we think the stuff that we're going through has only happened to us. So when you hear them tell their stories, it's just like, oh, okay, it's just part of the journey. Like, it's just part of the game. So it just kind of puts you at ease, like having those conversations. Because I get in my head a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I gotta. Do you have like any bad habits that you didn't know you had, and then you watched on camera and you were like, why am I doing that?
No, it's the same bad habit. Like, if I'm thinking a lot, I just dig in my nails. And sometimes I can see myself, even if it's just with one hand, I can see myself doing it. But I've watched so many people perform, and I notice, like, they also have nervous tics. Like, one of the first times I saw D-Ray in person, he'll, like, do something with his hands to his side. I'm like, oh, it's just natural. Like, everybody has one. I don't care if you, like, blink a lot. Sometimes you can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody has one.
Have you ever been to one of those places where the lights are, like, brand new or they're too bright, and you're just, like, you're sitting there trying to talk, but you really can't even, like, you can't even see the front row?
Now, that happened once. And usually I would like that because these are prescription. But when I started comedy, I would always wear glasses because I didn't really want them to see my eyes. So I didn't mind, like, if it's too bright, okay, I can't even see you guys' faces. So it was all right to me. But you know when they too bright because you start feeling it. Not just it ain't just hurting your eyes. You like sweating. Like, these are real lights these lights got ohms in them. Was that the little, did I use the right term? Ohms?
I don't know. But
these are stove lights is what I'm saying.
Stove lights.
I am getting grilled up here. Yeah, those lights I hate. You got to take your hat off.
What's the best set you think you've ever had? The one that you just like remember and you were like, man, that was the one.
Aside from the helium set, the first round.
Yeah.
I think when I headlined Jukebox last year for the first time, it was just an hour of just all the way through, just fire. And it's just like, wow. Like, it was a sold out crowd. It just had a different feel to it. It could have been because it was my first weekend headlining in my hometown. But that set was like front to back. I can listen to the audio, and I don't have a video. I hate it. I hate that I don't have video because you would love to send stuff like that
Exactly.
out.
Exactly.
But I listen to the audio all the time. That's probably my favorite. But short sets probably the.
Do you ever listen to it? Like when you're just, I don't know, like you're down and you're just like, I don't want to. Sometimes I go back and I'll listen to a set that was like I felt was particularly good, just as like a remember you can do this. Come on, you can do. Because it's hard. It's hard to get up on stage if you've had a bad day or your kids are pissed you off or your wife is annoying.
You ever got an argument with your wife right before you had to?
Yes.
It's man, that is I'm not really that guy to go back and listen to the old sets. Some part of me sometimes doesn't like listening to them unless it's like some killer stuff in there, and I still won't go back and listen to it like that. Like sometimes I post clips, so if I come across a clip, I'm like, "Oh, that was funny."
See, I listen to all of them. The bombs. I'll listen to. I
definitely don't listen to the bomb.
Oh,
I cannot.
I listen to every single second, especially if I drive up here, do the open mic, and then I have to drive home. I got 2 hours alone in the car, and I just listen to myself bomb over and over, and then I'm like, why did this happen?
Why did it happen?
Why did I do? Was it my energy? Was it my attitude? Was I just not in it tonight? Like, what was going on? Was it the
delivery?
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy because that's the advice that I give to anybody. Go back and listen to it and see why. Because sometimes a joke that you have killed with does not hit. You need to see why. Like, what did I do wrong this time? But, in comedy, like, you could say you do 2 shows in a night. In that first set, you go up there and murder, just kill. But then the second show that night, you could do the same exact set, and you will not get the same. Sometimes it'll be like, why did that? Like, man, I just killed him with this. How did y'all not laugh? And it's just sometimes it's just little stuff. It could be anything.
It sounds like an excuse, but sometimes it really is the crowd. Sometimes the crowd's just. It's weird.
I'm gonna let you say it.
Yeah. Well, last night, for example, first show, the crowd was big. I mean, it was bigger. It was 75, 80 people, something like that. Not a decent sized room, but they were like quick laughers. They were like, like that. And it wasn't like just for me. It was for the whole show. Like me, the feature, the headliner. Second show, probably 30 less people. But man, they were just in it. They were just having fun. So
I agree with you. I will not sit here and lie to your face and say that tight crowds don't exist. Of course they do. I just hold myself accountable in those moments where it's like, okay, yes, the crowd was tight, but if you call yourself a professional, you should be able to pivot. I put the pressure on me, like, you should be able to crack them. I don't care. Like, adjust, do something, take a left when you were going to go that way at first. Like, just, even if you just have to, I don't want to say change your set, but just kind of change the delivery of it. My second round of Helium, tight crowd. A lot of people would say, man, the crowd was tight. And they were, Rueseler. But, again, I was mad at myself. like, you didn't crack them. That's your fault. So I'm not going to say, like, tight crowds don't exist. I just...
Yeah, there are a lot of... I mean...
I hate when comics, like, just use that too much. Like, that is what the... Like, okay, we acknowledge that, but what could you have done differently on the stage to crack them, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's I think we all know there's comedians who every time they get off, you're like, hey, how'd it go? And they're like, the crowd sucked. I'm like, did they? Because I hear them laughing now.
The guy before you.
Yeah, the guy before you got laughs, the guy after you got laughs. So they were just tight for you?
Yeah. And sometimes, like, we just, number one, like, as comedians, we got to be honest with ourselves, period, about your set, about the caliber of comedian you are. Because I hate it when I see a comedian say, I killed. And you were there. And you're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, that's the thing I can't get over is how many people seem to have just like, I don't know, they're just like, do you see things differently than the rest of the world?
It is complacency. Like, if you think that mediocrity was killing, then you're not challenging yourself to grow. Because, for one, like, if you kill Rueseler, like, say my set at Helium, I don't have to get off the stage and say, man, I just killed it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to say it for me. I don't have to say anything. If you actually kill, other people are going to say it.
Yeah. People will let you know. When you did good, people will let you know.
As soon as you get off stage.
Yeah.
The crowd is going to let you know, for one.
Yeah. After the show. They'll come up to you and be like, oh, you were my favorite. Oh, I liked you. I wish you did longer.
That's why we love standing by the door. Like, okay, you could be in mid-conversation talking about somebody managing. You like, okay, I got to go stand by the door and get these. We like our ego stroked.
Yeah.
But you have to be honest. And then I hate comedians that some comedians are really, they want the title. They want to, I headline. No. You went last. You did not headline.
Yeah.
But I've seen posts where somebody say, hey, I need a comedian to do 30 minutes. And then you'll see some of the names, like people commenting, like, and I'm like, man, I've never even seen a type 5 from you. Yeah. And it's like, don't, because you're just hurting yourself in the long run. Because you take on this gig and then you can't. That's like me. I just talked about this on my podcast the other day. That's like me accepting a job as an electrician. I don't know jack about wires.
Exactly.
The first day, they're going to see like, oh, he was unprepared. He was out of his league. And it's like, we just got to be honest, man. Like, don't set yourself up for failure because you're trying to climb the ladder fast.
I think so many people, they hear stories about like, you know, you hear that like, oh, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So they're like, oh, I got to volunteer. I got to volunteer for everything. I got to say yes to everything. It's like, no, be honest. Like, if someone says, hey, could you do 30 minutes? And you know that you've got 15 tops, tell them. Be like, I want to do the show, but I got 15 minutes.
Right.
You know? And then maybe they're like, hey, all right, well, maybe we'll just do 2 people doing 15.
See, that would take them to be honest with themselves first and foremost. Some people, again, think I can go up here and talk for 30. I know I can stand up there for 30 minutes. No. When they ask you, do you have 30 minutes? They need it to be a great 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And unless you are Dave Chappelle, it does not need to be silence for 25 minutes.
That's another thing is that people see things like Dave Chappelle or, you know, Bill Burr or the greats, and they're like, well, they go long periods of time without a punchline. I'm like, yes, but people bought tickets to come see them. Right. No one bought tickets to come see you. If you're at an open mic, stop preaching to people. If you're at
stop
feature,
dancing.
Yeah,
where are the jokes?
Exactly. If you're on a show, stop giving everybody your opinion. Nobody cares what you tell the jokes. Make the people laugh. Set it up for the headliner. Let the headliner come out and talk about politics or like whatever, and if they lose the crowd, fine, it's their crowd to lose. But so many people I see that are like, oh no, I got to get my point across. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah,
Wait,
man.
if you wanna tell people what you think, be a good comedian, sell tickets, and then it's your audience.
It's your show.
Do whatever you want. If you want to get naked and whatever, it's your audience. Do it. But a lot of I think it's a lot of comedians have that like, just, I don't know, that mindset where
you got to find your voice, and it took me a minute
yeah.
to find mine. Like, I still don't feel I am where, you know what I'm saying, and I know I'm hilarious. I don't care what nobody else says. Just me being honest. But it's still, you still have to be honest. And I know it's stuff that I can do better, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that this is not like the ceiling, and people get content, or they just don't have the capacity for growth in their jokes. You know, like, if you started 5 years ago Rueseler, I shouldn't still hear 5 years ago Rueseler. I'm not saying you can't tell a joke from 5 years ago, but it shouldn't sound the same as it did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just takes a lot of self-reflection in this game and honesty.
That's why I listen to all the bad sets. I've got so much alone time, you know, driving by myself, that I constantly am listening to all of them, and I'm like, okay. Sometimes I will pull out my phone and set the timer, and every 10 seconds I'll pause the video and be like, a joke needs to go right here. Or every 15 seconds, a joke needs to come right here. Or how long's it been since the last pop? Oh, it's been like 30 seconds. That's too long. I need a joke.
Right.
You know, and you can keep a joke for years, like you're saying, but make it better. Make it sharper.
And you should be adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
Like, I just think most of the time you tell one of your jokes and the crowd laughs, usually we think of something right then and there that we could say to make it funnier. So that's just adding extra, you know, and it'll just eventually develop into a longer bit. So it's just, I don't know. I like taking advantage of those moments.
What's the best way to write? Do you do it on stage? Do you like sit in silence and with a pen and paper?
So I'm not much of a writer. I can write, but I feel like I used to set aside a time every day to write. But I feel like when I do that, then I'm forcing myself to come up with material. So most of the time it comes natural to me, not saying in a sense to where I just wing it on stage all the time. I'm saying, like, my thinking time is if I'm playing Madden or 2K, but I'm really thinking. And then if I think of something really good, I don't even like putting it in my phone. I'm old, so I feel like you remember it better if you actually write it down. So I pull out my notebook and just, you know, write down a little something. And then if I get in the zone, though, then it's just like, oh, then I can say this. And then it just grows. But I usually just do it in the moment I feel it. Now, if I don't have a pen, then I do a little voice recording or something.
I make a note in my phone, but I don't type out, like, I can't, if I start typing out like long paragraphs, I get bored, I give up on it. So I do like little, maybe like the premise.
Right.
And then I do what you do, where like, I'll put on headphones and I listen to music that, like, especially music that doesn't have any words to it, and I'll just walk. I'll go for a walk around my neighborhood, go for a walk around the arch, go for a walk. Right. And I just listen to that music and think about that premise and, like, all right, what was funny about it? What did I enjoy about it at the time? How could this fit into my set?
Right.
What's a good way to, you know, because all comedians take a story that might be like this, and then you stretch it out a little bit.
That's what you should write down.
Yeah.
You write. So I would always tell somebody, write down the story. Leave some spaces for you to leave for room for exaggerations and where you can add funny, like, kind of twist the truth. But yeah, I just use like bullet points and do bullet points on the joke. Sometimes I will turn my game on with the intent of playing, and then it'll just be on the pause screen, and I'm just sitting there, just silence or smoke, and then just stuff come to me, and if I feel like something really funny, then I go ask my wife because she's hilarious. And
that must be awesome. I love my wife to death.
Mm-hmm.
She's perfect in every way, but she kills bits faster than anyone I've ever met. I can't tell you how many times I've come up to her and I'll ask her a question, like I throw a premise out there, and she's just like, "No, just stop, just stop." Like she just shuts it down. And you're like, "No, that doesn't make any sense. I would never do that." And you're like, I'm running something. Just let me talk it out."
do you hate when I ain't gonna say I hate it because I know we're all guilty of this. Like, say we're all talking, and then the comedian will try a bit in the conversation. It's like, come on, man, you go throw it out.
Yeah.
I hate it when I can feel it coming. Like, are you great? You gonna try a joke on us? Like, nah, but she is hilarious, and there have been plenty times where she be like, man, I'd be like, damn, I feel good about that one. But it's times where she'll say something and I'll be like, how the hell did you get that? Like, that was hilarious. And I can run stuff by her. But a lot of times I'll say stuff, she'll be like, I didn't even know anything about that joke.
My wife she's unintentionally funny. Like, she says shit sometimes that just like throws me off. Like, I don't even
be like, hey, you should keep that. Use that.
Yeah, like I was like one time when I was in the military, I was doing this nutrition class, and I had to look up all this information, and I looked at her and said, did you know that when you take a 30-minute nap, you burn 75 calories? And she was eating a bowl of mashed potatoes, and she just looked up and she goes, it's going to be an all-nighter. Like that. And I just remember just being
the subtle stuff, man. Yeah. It's sometimes my wife, we could be having a conversation, and she'll say, and I will be in tears. It's just like, wow, I can't believe that's where you went. Like, that's where your mind went. I would never even thought to go there. But she is, that's my...
So you were saying, so I asked you before, like, what are some things you like? What are some things you don't like? What are things you know nothing about? And you said protection. Because you got 7 kids?
7, man.
7.
5 different mothers. Whew. And there was so many Trojan commercials growing up. They used to give out condoms at my school. You know, my mom worked at the Urban League and the health department. And I just... if you're going to use protection, why even do it? Yeah. It is, so I know nothing about protection, man. 7 kids.
That's
3 grandkids.
I can't even imagine. 3 grandkids?
Yes, man.
Wow.
Man. Yes. It's only one. She has the 3. She's married. But yeah, 7. I had 3 by the time I was 22.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So my daughter, I'm 32. My daughter's about to be 14. And I thought my life was over. You know, like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to handle this situation. You know, I can't imagine. But what do you think the best way, like, what's the best way to raise kids? Because there's so many different methods.
Being honest.
Yeah.
And actually, there are so many parents, especially in black households, especially in my era. Like, you know, we were raised like you're supposed to be seen and not heard, or like there are a lot of people who think that because they're children, they don't have a right to feel a certain way, and it's just like, so pretty much off top, you're showing kids like, I can't even talk to my parents about whatever, or they're just going to tell me, or you're going through this. So the biggest thing for me is like being honest, but also you have to like listen to your kids. Like, I have never put my hands on my children. My voice is enough. I will cuss. Yeah. I definitely will cuss, but it's not demeaning or to make them feel like, because I never want my kids I never want their confidence to be shaken. I want you to be able to be confident in who you are no matter who you're around. So Yeah, I just think being honest, man, because a lot of us sugarcoat stuff. Like, don't smoke when you grow up. When my daughter was going off to college, I know you're going to smoke, but just tell them how to just educate them about stuff instead of trying to scare them into not doing it, because that's just going to tickle the curiosity and we're just going to do it, you know. So
Yeah, that's a good point. Because
yeah.
I think I turned my mic off. I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still learning all this. I was trying to cut
Hey.
out that background conversation, and
Oh.
I think I turned my mic off. But, um, like I was gonna say, what's the best way to discipline your kids? Because I don't know. There have been times. I mean, especially with 7 kids, there's times where you're like, I'm about to beat the hell out of
My
you.
oldest is a girl,
Yeah.
just like you. So it's like, as a man, I never wanted to put my hand. Of course, I'm not going to put my hands on my daughter because I don't want you to think that men are supposed to hit you.
Right. Right.
So everything is, um, it's just being brutally honest, though. Like, being that I have 7 kids, I'm able to talk to my kids through my experience, like telling my daughter, like, hey, 21-year-old guys are not trying to be serious about one girl, you know, like, and telling my son, yes, I was a ladies' man, but what was the benefit? I got y'all, which those are the greatest mistakes I ever made in my life, but still not the best situation, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, speaking from experience, like, I hate when old people talk down on younger people. Like, you used to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You used to do that. So if you want them not to do it and you know why, explain it to them. Like, I never tell my kids no without telling them why I'm saying no.
Yeah, like you go back to that whole, like they had that drug campaign, like just say no. It's like, okay, but why?
Why?
Just say no, but why? Like what? What?
That's just going to make you're just making them curious.
Yeah.
That's why we had drug addicts in the 8th grade in my period. Like, you telling them not to smoke marijuana and
But not telling them why not to
not
smoke.
to tell them why. And I hated that DARE campaign.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I let you look. I didn't start smoking marijuana till I was like mid-20s, so I wasn't one of those that started young. But they made it seem like, you know, this is your brain on drugs. This is what my head gonna do on
With the egg and
on
the
yeah
crack,
on,
yeah.
on marijuana. I am the. You should tell everybody to smoke weed. You know how relaxed you are. Not you, because you don't smoke, Rueseler. But when you are a smoker, you just relaxed. You know, it's just
Yeah.
wouldn't be no murders. Everybody just
I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel like we should just move the at 25, everything's legal. When you turn 25, you want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to get a prostitute, you want
what
to
you do with your life is on you.
Yeah, you're an adult now. Your brain's fully developed. Go make decisions. We've told you, hey, this is bad for you. This is bad for you. This is bad for you. But now you're 25. Go make your own decision. Go live your life.
They should have made condoms a law, because I wouldn't have 7 kids. If I catch you out here raw dogging, you're getting locked up. So,
That's good.
you
That's
gotta
good.
do
You should write that down.
you gotta do probation. Like, why you telling me I can't drink? Drinking didn't lead me to having unprotected sex, sir. You should take out the cause. If I would have been scared to have kids, so to say, if they said if you had kids before you got married, then you had to go to jail or something.
Oof.
What?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would have been an upstanding citizen.
Yeah.
But
They tried to scare people with like, oh, you're gonna get herpes, you're gonna get AIDS,
Yeah.
you're gonna get a disease or whatever. But they should do jail time.
Man, look, or talk to Jesus Daddy and tell him not to make it so good. Because a condom is just in the way.
Yeah.
Like, it's taken away from. That's crazy. But yeah.
What's the best show that your kids were into that you, because like, you know, kids, they take over everything. I remember when my son came home from the hospital, I took a shower, I came downstairs, and my wife was sitting on the couch and they were watching like Disney Junior, and I'm like, why are we watching cartoons? And she just like pointed at the baby, and I was like, oh yeah, that's my life now. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and then after a while, I started to like some of the shows that he liked.
Of course.
So what's the best? What's the best thing your kids have been into that you were like, oh, I like this too. This is pretty cool.
My son is see. I haven't. You know, we have movie night. So you know when they pick their movie, of course, you know. I really don't know. My 12-year-old, he likes anime. I've never liked anime. Like the Dragon Ball Z and stuff came out. I think I was out of high school already. You know, so you hear people.
That
like,
was my thing.
My wife is 36 and she's like, "You didn't watch the Power Rangers?" I was like, "No." It's like 19. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? But that, let me think. Because I'm the type of father that tries to sprinkle what I liked.
Yeah, exactly.
Into, like, let me show you like how it used to be. Like Looney Tunes. They love Looney Tunes and they love Martin. Like the Martin Show.
Oh yeah.
They have always loved Martin.
That's kind of what I miss a little bit about cable was that there could be good stuff, but you wouldn't have to. You're like, there were so many rules. You didn't really have to worry, like, oh, they're not going to cuss. They're not going to talk about this. They're not going to do that. You know, and you could watch it. Because I remember my parents, they would watch stuff they wanted to watch on TV. And if it was an R-rated movie, it would be edited.
Yeah.
And they didn't care, like, if we walked into the room. But now,
These days,
we've got, well, we don't have cable. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have HBO or whatever. And you're like, I have no idea what's about to happen. So,
and then mine are big on watching like YouTube videos, like the guys that sit there and talk. And sometimes I'll come downstairs and I'm like, "What did he just say?"
Yeah.
But it's like, so I'm not that kind of parent that'll say, "Hey, turn that off. There's a curse word," because you hear me curse, and you're gonna hear people curse. Now I just teach them about curse words. If everything out of your mouth is a cuss word, then you sound ignorant. But some of the stuff, I'm like, okay. They talking about sexual stuff. Like, everything is sexualized now.
yeah, everything.
Now, we do know, like, it took me until when I got older, when they pointed out the sexual stuff on, like, Looney Tunes. I'm like, oh, that's what Bugs Bunny meant when he said that. Like, oh, I didn't. But it's more blatant now.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely more, like, in your face.
But it's just funny because you don't hear many people saying, like, you know how they used to say rap music is messing up your kids, but you don't hear, like, the homosexual people make sure there's a lot of representation on TV now. I'm sorry. I keep
you're good. You're good.
There's a lot of representation on TV now, and there are so many parents uncomfortable with that. But whoever said that heterosexuality was the norm, it's just like that is in your face on TV too. So that's another thing. It's just like, just educate your kids. Like, them seeing it on TV is not going to make your son or your daughter gay, because we can go to the grocery store and you're going to see, they're probably going to see a gay couple somewhere.
Yeah.
You just kind of educate them. They still have to make their own decision. And you scaring them away from it is.
It's like the drugs thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling them, don't do it. But why not to do it?
Next thing you know, your son got his ass tooted in there. It's like, that's what I didn't want. But no, man, when you raising your kids, man, you just about educating them. Like, we homeschool my younger two. It's because I feel like we could teach them better than what the school is. But
yeah, there's a lot of times my daughter's school is like, it keeps getting like good. Like, it's ranked well, like around the area we live. But there'll be times where they give all the kids laptops now. Like, you don't have books that you carry around.
No,
you just have a laptop.
No one reads.
And there'll be days where I will get an email from my daughter while she's at school of something on Amazon that she wants me to buy. And I'm like, how do you have time to shop? How are you in school? Like, she makes good grades.
They don't even take their phones anymore.
And they come home. They don't have any homework. And I'm just like, you don't have any homework. You don't have any books. And you're shopping at school. How do you... I remember when I was in school, it was like you were constantly doing stuff. And then you come home and you had homework.
Have you used that on stage yet? You got to... It's definitely because everybody is relatable. there's no homework. It's you shopping at school. So and then you have a daughter,
Yeah.
and so maybe you can equate it to like, when women get older, all they do is shop. So it's like that's what you teaching my daughter to be at school is a serial shopper. So
I kind of want to ask. I kind of want to go in and sit down with like her and the teachers, and then just ask her questions in front of the teachers. Like, hey, how do you fill out taxes? How do you change a tire? How do you do this? And then look, and then be like, all right, now how do you buy something on Amazon? And she'll be, oh, right here, right here, right here. And be like, okay, why does she know this, but she doesn't know that?
And I want to preface that by saying I don't think it's the teachers. I think it's the curriculum because my mom is a teacher.
That's true.
My younger
I don't
brother,
want to blame teachers.
My younger brother is a teacher, and it's not. And there are far too many teachers that don't really care. Like, it's enough of us parents that don't care. I'm sending them to you because I thought you cared about my kid. They can't have all the influences not caring.
I'm sending them to you because it's like babysitting. Like, I need you to take them for a couple hours a day. But also, if I don't send them to you, I go to jail. So take them and teach them. I
need you to do your part.
Yeah, but I also want to make sure, like, I don't know. I don't want my kids to grow up and get out of school and be like, I don't know anything.
I think my son, he doesn't like to wear clothes, so his biggest benefit of homeschooling is he can wear underwear to class. Yeah. I could be in school all day in my underwear, just a robe. He does not. If it gets cold in my house sometimes, I got a big house.
Yeah.
Hey, son, can you go put some pants on? He's like, for what? Sir, it's cold. Your nipples are hard, sir. I don't want to see 12-year-old hard nipples.
Not at the breakfast table.
Yeah. Yes, man. But it's just easier.
That's.
I don't have somebody to be like, hey, you take them for 8 hours.
Yeah,
I'm the teacher.
True. With homeschool, you are
the teacher and the parent. I'm calling myself when I have a problem with them at school. Hey, your son is not listening today.
You should do that. That could be a bit. You doing parent teacher conference with your wife. She come
That's
in.
Hilarious.
You just come in, sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down. Yeah. We need to talk about him. Yeah. All right. He's been acting up in class. I'm sick of it. You need to do something.
Yeah, that is funny.
But
I have to use it.
What's so? What time is it? I don't want to.
Oh, you are good. I was just social media.
Yeah. Oh man,
is what I'm doing.
I hate social media.
If we didn't have to,
I know. That's a lot of people don't understand.
If we did not have to, because there's a lot of stuff we see on social media. It's just like, man, I'm tired of this, or like I'm so tired of the LeBron or Jordan conversation. Like, look, this era is going to say LeBron. This era is going to say Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Majority. It's just too much.
That's why
so much attention seeking on Facebook.
That's why that's one of the questions I was writing down from earlier. Like, who's the best of all time? And I was like, that's been done to death. It's been like
it's still gonna.
Yeah, I was born in '90, so Jordan will always be my favorite.
And see.
My daughter doesn't know. I don't think she's ever watched a basketball game in her life, but she says LeBron James because that's what she hears.
That's what you know now.
That he's playing now. He's relevant.
It's just all the comparisons, man. Let LeBron be LeBron. He will never be Jordan.
Mm-mm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't even think LeBron.
He probably doesn't even want to be Jordan. He just wants to be him.
LeBron is not even Kobe.
Yeah.
And Kobe is just Jordan B. And you have not even. But anyway, he's done great things. He's the greatest player in the league. That is what I will say.
Yeah. The best right now.
Yes. I don't understand why it's got to be.
And Kobe was the best before him.
Yes.
Jordan was the best.
The torch has to get passed.
Wilt Chamberlain. And
the list goes on.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
And then back in that era, you might hear people say Wilt Chamberlain. You might hear people say Bill Russell.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Think about
Larry Bird.
Think about that argument.
Yeah.
It's like, who is the best big man? You know what I'm saying? It's so many of that. And then Shaq now.
Yeah.
It's hard to take that from Shaq, E. You can't. Shaq put in work.
He did.
Shaq put in work.
It's hard. It's fun to show, like, because when I remember Shaq, he was like fresh out of college. He was skinny. He was running back and forth all up and down the court nonstop, And then now he's He's
the
bigger,
end of his.
he's thick, you know. He's
But
older.
when LeBron started, his first, I think LeBron was skinny.
Yeah.
Hey, LeBron was not this muscular. It got to a point where I was like, hey, man, they feeding him some PEDs. That man ain't just get thick like that just naturally.
Yeah.
Like, he was a skinny kid, 6'8", little wiry kid, and now you just all
huge.
They fed. He had a protein IV, is what it was.
Protein IV.
You just pumping all of that in your blood. Yeah, man.
So you said you like true crime documentaries?
Man.
Who do you think the best serial killer is? You like those, like the serial killer documentaries?
See, I can't. How they making Jeffrey Dahmer look? You might have to say, man, when you cutting people up with steak knives, man, and just enjoying your life. I tried to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, when I think I was in high school when it was going on, maybe early high school, maybe. So I knew, but then some of the stuff I didn't know. I tried to watch it. I think I turned it off like the first episode.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't want to.
I have a pretty high tolerance for like a lot of stuff. Like things that my wife will be like, oh, like that gross her out. I usually can just sit there and watch. It doesn't bother me.
The guy that he brought back into his room, the Tracy guy.
Yeah.
The scene where Tracy's trying to get out of the situation. He starts sucking his finger, and I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Because you in this dirty house, and Jeffrey don't look clean, like and I was just like, ugh. So that's when I turned it off. I was like, I can't.
When he started dancing, like, I'm going to distract him. I'm going to get him turned on. I'm going to dance so I can get out of here. I would have died so fast. I would have been like, bro. I can't dance. I don't know how to, like.
It was I couldn't, so I can't say, okay. Let me think of. I did watch the Ted Bundy tapes.
That was a good one.
I might have to say Ted Bundy because he was a player, bro. Like he had the ladies, and he's still killing people.
Well,
like,
he's still. Can you imagine somebody murdering you, and then 20 years later they make a movie about it or a documentary, and people are interviewing your family, and they're all like, "Man, I miss Jason so much." And half the country is rooting for the. They're like, "But he's so hot.
Yeah,
he's so pretty. Like he's handsome."
See, I would have thought you was getting all these women, so I know you got a lot of sex. I would have thought you would have been more relaxed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be more easygoing.
Yeah,
you're not backed up.
Yeah.
What are you frustrated about?
Yeah,
but probably Ted Bundy because of how he went about his.
Yeah, I would say probably Richard Ramirez. Did you see The Night Stalker? There was The Night Stalker documentary.
I probably have seen it, but the name doesn't ring a bell.
He was in L.A. in, I think it was like the late 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't have an MO. Like he just, sometimes he would break in and steal things. Sometimes he would people. Sometimes he'd murder people. Sometimes he would just like tie you up and then get bored and leave. Like they couldn't track him. They had absolutely.
What pushes a man to do these things, Rueseler?
Yeah.
Have you
insanity?
I don't even know if this is a suitable question, but I'm gonna ask it in a clean manner. Have you ever been getting intimate, and she's not as aroused as you would like? It's not as moist. You know what I'm saying? It hurts.
Yeah.
So do you know what kind of person you have to be to stuff yourself into a...
To just power through it.
How many times did your skin peel?
Yeah.
you just out here dry humping. And just rubbing. But they get turned on by the... Like, so I watch them because I always just try to understand their mind. Like, why did you do that? Like, what made you... And my mom used to hate it because, you know, back in the day it was forensic files.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, why do you watch this all the time? Are you thinking about killing people? I'm just like, what? And then now my wife is like, why do you watch this all the time? Are you thinking about killing people? Yes. Because I've been with you for a long time, man.
Yeah.
Apparently on crime shows, the way they get out of marriages is they kill their spouse. You ever heard the one like they'll say like they were devout Christians?
And then and then something happened.
they did not. They were devout Christians, and say the man gets a mistress, and we're devout Christians, so we don't believe in divorce. So I have to kill her to get out of this. It can't be a divorce. So they believe in murder. Murder's okay with them, but you can't get a divorce. It's just, it's crazy. But I can't stop watching them.
I can't either.
I will watch them all day.
My wife loves them.
Taking notes.
I watch them. It's so weird because like, there's some things, like, I don't know. There's some things that like my daughter watches that I'm like, I'm not comfortable with. Like, I don't know, that you're still young. I don't know if you should be watching this, you know. But then she'll sit down and she and my wife will watch like Criminal Minds, and some of it is like,
yes, sir.
And I'm just like, I
loved Criminal Minds until you start. You know, when the characters move on, like maybe they got a bigger role. I'm like, okay, you're introducing too many new people. Like, it's going to be a whole new cast.
Yeah, none of the
change the title now.
There's like 2 of the original cast. Yeah.
But I loved Criminal Minds. I love Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I mean they're good shows, and the documentaries, they hook. I mean, you get hooked in, and you're just like, you know, you're in it for the long haul.
Because I just want to know, like, where did you? Okay. He didn't have a father. I didn't either.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kill anyone but him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't, really, guys. I really don't. But it's just like, I hate when they justify that kind of, everybody goes through something, man. Like, I became a father at 10 because my stepdad left and I had to raise his kids. So,
you've been in a parent role, like.
Yeah. Because my mom, my older brother went and lived with his dad.
Okay.
So there were 3 different fathers. My father was the non-existent one. Mm-hmm. My younger 2 siblings had the same father. And then he left at 10. And it was funny because they used to always tease me like, where's your dad? Where's your dad? And then he left at 10. And then I'm like, oh, where's your dad? Oh, here I am. Happy Father's Day to me. But yes, in that role, my younger brother is 3 years younger than me. My little sister is a year younger than him. Well, 11 months. My mom couldn't wait till that 6 weeks was up.
I remember that was hard. When my wife had my son, there was a couple I was like, oof.
You know, the time when when you're not supposed to, that's when you want it the most.
Yeah.
When it's the time of the month, you really want to, ma'am, just lay the towel down. We will be okay. we will be okay.
Well, my wife is like hardcore Catholic, so that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no, but like sometimes that's when she looks the best. I don't know what it is about, but when a woman hits that time,
girl, did the
everything
hormones make you thicker?
Up and everything starts to like, you're just.
And then that attitude.
Like, she's got like a smell to her that I can just, it's like sweet, or whatever.
Yeah.
And she says there are times where she's like, I feel like you're hunting me.
I am.
She's like, I'm
a shark.
I'm in the kitchen and I'm just like,
blood. Yes.
Just, sniffing her out or whatever. And she's like, you got to stop.
What am I supposed to do?
What am I supposed to do? Exactly. Exactly.
What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. Now I got to go in here and sexually assault myself because.
And that's the other thing. I
gotta abuse myself
because
you gonna tell me you can't do that?
Yeah, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do that.
Why?
Because
the Lord, whatever Lord you believe in, the Lord does not want you upset. Yeah. That is a release.
I don't get it.
You mean to tell me for this week I gotta be mad?
Over and over and over again. I have asked so many people, and I'm like,
I feel like it should be okay if you're married.
I can understand if they were like, no porn. Be like, okay, I can see how, maybe lusting after
over another
woman.
Point. Yeah,
I can see that. That's okay. I can understand that, but nothing at all. Like if you're saying I'm just sitting here with my imagination and I rub one out, you're telling me I can't do that, like.
And then the fact, so our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the one that gave them these 7 day, sessions. So you want me to be faithful to her. Mm-hmm. I can't get any during this time. So what you telling me is I'm fasting for a week.
the thing that gets me is that the people that wrote the rules, the people that put that in the Bible, they had like 10 wives.
Right.
They had 7 mistresses. They had, and you're like, all
So
right.
it's again the just say no thing. Tell me why am I saying no to rubbing one out?
Exactly. So it's like, and then they also said that if a woman is on her cycle, if she's unclean, she's got to go live in like a separate tent, like outside the camp. Like that's in the Old Testament.
Hey.
And I remember like, I was like, how come we're not doing these rules? Like we're doing the rules that affect
Pick
me.
and choose. See, that's why the Bible is losing credibility, because now people looking at it like, hey, how does this even make sense? Mm-hmm. How does that make sense that you said this?
Why are we going to pick and choose what rules we follow?
Why you telling me I got to wear clothes and they was running around with nothing but a fig leaf? I can't just let my stuff hang. Like, come on, man. You don't want to. If you want to be biblical, be biblical. Mm-hmm. Don't pick and choose which one you want to.
There's always that one. But I'll ask you just a couple more and then we'll get out of here. I appreciate you coming by.
Ah, man, this was dope, man.
This is fun.
It was dope.
Good. I'm glad you
like
it.
the ambiance, man.
I'm trying it out. I like it. I thought about getting like fake grass to put down just to make it feel more outdoors. Just because some of the best conversations I've ever had have been outside.
Sitting outside.
Yeah, because people feel more free. Like your words just go.
The really good conversation happen outside comedy shows. Those are the best times.
That was another one I talked to Ronaldo about. Mm-hmm. I said we should do another podcast together. You and me will host it. We'll invite people. Call it the post-show podcast or the hang or something like that.
Oh, look at you! You got names just in the chamber.
Just trying. You got to try something. You got to put stuff out there. But go to an open mic. Whoever has the best set, invite them back. Talk to them. Be like, "Where'd you come up with that joke? I like that tag you got." Or, hey, that crowd work you did was great. Or, just talk to them and hang out and work bits out and stuff like that. And that's my favorite part. I live 2 hours away from the nearest comedy club, but I'll stay to the end of the open mic and then an hour and a half afterwards just to talk to people, because to me, that's still the work. That's still part of it.
It's networking. Sometimes you come up with extra bits or tags, or it's just, to me, it's just the organicness. I don't even know if that's a word.
Yeah.
But like of us just out talking. Sometimes it's us laughing and cracking jokes on one another, or we talking about the show. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. Like
you said, you sit after a comedy show, especially if the conversation is just flowing.
Yeah.
Man, we'll talk I don't know if you like me. All I talk about is comedy. It's sometimes I gotta apologize to my wife. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. This is all I talk about. But when people know you, I mean, this is all I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a job to go to where I can say, well, man, these customers that Schnooks today it's all I talk about. So I just love that part of it. Like, the camaraderie.
That's how I am, because I don't have a day job either. I'm lucky enough that I get disability from the military, and it's enough to cover all my bills.
See, how long do it take to get disability? I want to go for like whatever.
It just depends on like they look at your medical records and then they judge like, all right, you did this, and they look at you because they'll do like X-rays and everything. They check you out before you go in, and then when you get out, they check you again. And they're like, okay,
it's just like renting a car. Like,
when you check
you
it
ain't
back
had
in,
his dent at first.
Yeah, like there's a scratch here. This headlight doesn't work anymore.
You gotta use that like it's like a rental car. Yeah, man, because it's
And I mean, to be honest, it's not much. It's not like I'm making 6 figures a year.
It comes in handy though.
It comes in. It's tax free. So it's just mine. It's it's $40K a year.
Man, if you don't shut up talking about that ain't a lot, that's a job.
No. I get it. I'm just saying. Sometimes I say that and I feel. I used to hate. I used to never want to talk about it because I didn't want anybody to think that I was just like a freeloader.
Being like 50
Like-
Cent son saying 6,700 ain't enough.
You see that
He
video?
said he get 40,000 a year from the military. Man, that ain't shit. I mean,
But no,
but
No, it's great. It's provided me with enough to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
I get health care. It's through the VA. So, I
Right.
mean, an argument could be made that's not a benefit, but still is much better than some people have. And my kids, are taken care of. My wife's taken care of. It's allowed me the freedom to do this, which is what I want to do. And so if I don't use it, isn't that a waste? Because how many people do we know that they do the open mics, they do the shows, they travel, and then they get up at 6 a.m. and they go to work at Schnucks, or they go sweep hallways, or they, whatever. And it's like, they would kill for this opportunity. So if I don't use it to my advantage, then I'm wasting it, and I'm kind of spitting in their face,
Yeah. That's how I feel, though. Like, I don't, like, this is all I have.
Yeah.
Creating content, trying to get paid from social media and things like that. But my reason is I just always felt like, because I've always been the manager, like or the supervisor or whatever, and it just takes away from comedy. Like, because if you have to devote all of these hours, especially if you're the manager, you got to do the schedule. You have to fill in if people don't come. You got to do all of that stuff. And I just always felt like I became a slave to the time clock and not focused on, like, the gift. So it was like pushing yourself 2 steps back.
And also, when you're working for a company, even if you are the manager or the the boss or whatever,
Right.
you're still answering to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because like I worked at JCPenney and I was a manager there, and I still had people to answer to. And
Of course.
you go to the military and you move up in rank, but there's always somebody above you telling you what to do. And then I sold cars, and there's somebody telling me. And finally, I was like, I want to be my boss. I want to pick what I want to do for the day. I want to pick, if I think something's important, then I want to go do it because I want to do it, not because someone else wants me to do it.
Right. And see, I even put that, like, with my children, like, I didn't push college on them because, for one, again, you putting yourself behind the 8 ball, you getting in this debt. And there are a lot of times people get these degrees and you can't even do anything with the degree. So I was like, I don't care if you go to college, but you do need to find something you're interested in. You should really try to focus on being your own boss, because working for other people is trash.
Well, I think we're at like an hour and a half.
We was in this thing, man.
Yeah.
This was dope, Rueseler.
This is good. I'm so happy you did it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much. You're the first person I've had on. The first 2 people I asked were you and JB. Because like I knew, like Ronaldo I've hung out with him. I knew if I asked him, he'd come and do it. And I was like, I got to reach out to people that I don't really know on a personal level, and I want to get them it. Like I got to reach out or whatever. And I'm happy you wanted to do it. I'm happy you did it.
People always ask me to do the first one. Like
Really?
comedy shows, like when people starting the show, Jay, I need to get you on this. Woo, woo. So I feel honored. But when you did ask me, I was like, Eric, don't know I like to talk. Nah, I get on the podcast.
That's fine. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, this is nice, man. Definitely keep it going.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try. I'll have you back. Hopefully, if there's things. Oh, what's the last question I was gonna ask? What's the best way to improve this? What would you suggest?
To keep it going. That's it. Just continue to, I would just say, don't get complacent. I think this is great. It's definitely a better setup than how I have my podcast, but the quality of the show is not based on the equipment. I think you do a great job hosting. You know what I'm saying? Man. So you got conversation, you prepared, so just keep it going. So the only way to improve it is just stay consistent, and I would tell you to I want to say grow yourself, but I mean in the sense to where you don't think you have to have just your peers on all the time. Like, shoot for trying to get somebody for real.
Yeah. Well,
not saying that we're not real, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, that's why I want to ask you, because I don't consider us peers. I think you're definitely a class above me.
I appreciate
maybe even
that.
2 classes. So I wanted to reach out, and I wanted to get not just people that Ronaldo and I started at the same time. Aaron Porter and I started at the same time, like that. So I was like, I know I can hang out with them, but I need to reach out to people that are above me, and work on talking to people that are, outside my class level.
So it was definitely a stroke of my ego, because I mean, if you asked me to be on, I was like, oh, paying, it's like people paying attention. Yeah. And I mean, I know we performed that night to where you probably like, well, goddamn, Jason, because you was like, dude, your applause break was longer than you said. And I was, I told my wife, I was like, man, the hairy dude. Yeah. Nah, I just, when you said that to me, I was just like, oh, that's dope that he would even want me to be on there.
Yeah,
because sometimes I feel overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not trying to keep us going. I'm just saying, like, sometimes I feel overlooked, and it's like, I know sometimes you'll see a flyer or see somebody get booked at the club, and it's just like, what do I have to do? Mm-hmm. And, like, outside of getting booked consistently at Helium, that's, like, the only thing I feel like that's left for me to do in St. Louis, because I'm just like, I don't understand why. Dan, you were there.
Yeah.
At Helium. You saw me. You saw it.
Yeah.
It was.
You saw him, all right?
Yeah.
What you got to do?
What do you need me to do?
Yeah.
But nah, that is if I had anything that I struggle with, it's that.
Yeah.
Like feeling like I'm getting overlooked. But what's for me is for me, so I don't let that really. I'd be like, what the? It's all right. Keep writing.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's gonna be a lot of times you get discouraged, Rueseler. It's gonna be opportunities that you don't get that you feel like you're supposed to get. And my advice to you is just keep pushing through it.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for doing this. I hope we'll do it again sometime.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Anytime.
Yeah.
I don't care if you be like, Jay, I might need a co-host every other week. Hey, I got you, Rueseler.
If you want to, I'll be happy to have rotating. Anybody who wants to come in.
Nah.
If you ever like have free time, I'm up here most of the week. I don't have a day job. I'm always looking to do something, put out content. You're like, hey, let's sit down for 20 minutes and knock one out real quick. Or,
Definitely.
hey, let's talk about this. Or, I talked about like the hang or the post show or whatever. Uh-huh. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, man. You can do a happy hour podcast.
That's a good one. Yeah. That might be something.
I'm a trademark, though. You're going to have to pay me for that, man.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
I appreciate you for having me, though, man.
Thanks.
Definitely.